Greetings. Today I am with Sam Moffatt. Hi, Sam. Do
Hello, how are you?
you want to be Sam or Samuel? Which you go by mostly?
You can call me Sam on here, but Samuel's my professional name, so
All right,
it's
we'll go
really
back and
whatever you
forth.
prefer. I like
Yeah.
both.
All right. What's your middle name?
My middle name is Neil. My initials are S and M.
Acid. Oh, that's handy. Let's hear
Thank
about you,
you.
baby. Let's see. So I met you at the Bent Theater, or maybe it was at Revolution when I first met you. I can't remember.
Yes.
And then we
I
went from
think you
there.
first met me at Revolution. Yes.
Yeah. And then finally we tied it down and I got you because you're currently in the
Yes, we did.
inheritance.
Finally.
You're in the inheritance.
Yes.
How's that going?
I know at the Bent. It's going wonderfully. The cast is amazing. The set is incredible. We've been getting a lot of great responses to the show and the piece. It's very emotional, very moving, but also funny, and it just goes through a lot of different emotions that come up as like a gay man in America.
So I went to opening night and then I'm going to go next weekend just before you close. So I want to get both.
Oh, great! I'm glad you get
Yeah.
to see it again. See if it's gotten a little better. See if anything's different. That'll be nice.
How is it being in that production? You liked it?
I love it a lot. It's been really challenging. It's a huge piece of work. There's a lot of lines, there's 3 acts, 2 intermissions. So it was daunting, but I feel so much better as an actor, as a performer, being able to do something like that and being in it now. So I definitely feel like it helped my abilities as an actor.
I can't imagine memorizing all those lines. It's crazy.
I know my 10-minute monologue about that Czech bathhouse is a lot, but I got through
Wow.
it.
You got through it. All right. All right. So let's hear your story. My audience is mostly gay men. Sometimes you're in small towns, and the whole
Great. Me too.
point of my podcast is to reach guys. The main thing is to reach guys that don't have any real life gay experience. So let's hear your story. Is that pearls you're wearing? Are you wearing
Yes,
pearls?
I love a pearl
All
necklace. Yeah.
right, all right. So talk about coming out. What's your story?
Yeah, so I was born in Austin, Texas. I was adopted and I grew up in Duncan, Oklahoma, which is where Halliburton was founded. But as far as my coming out story, I come from a Southern Baptist family. I was raised Southern Baptist, so not necessarily the best religion
Right.
or group of people to be coming out to. I grew up in a town of like 25,000 people. We had 2 farms. I spent a lot of time, working the land, picking pecans. Like we had a pecan orchard. So, but sorry, coming out. It's all kind of related. You got to
Right.
understand the backstory of it to get how bad it was. But I think very early on, my parents knew that I was a little special. I remember being a child and wanting to play with more feminine things or dress up a bit, and my parents shut that down immediately. They thought that Disney made me gay, so they kind of stopped letting me, watch The Little Mermaid, which was very sad for me because that was my favorite. But throughout my life, I was just a little more flamboyant, a little more feminine, or, all of those things. So
Right.
when I did end up coming out, it was not great. I didn't really get to come out. My parents sort of found out that I had been, communicating with other guys. It wasn't necessarily anything sexual. I was kind of young. It was just, like flirty and talking about kissing and stuff. They went through my Facebook messages. They went to the cell phone company and got all of the cell phone records that I had of all the people I'd been texting, and they just like found everything. And so they ended up sending me to conversion therapy in Dallas. So that wasn't great. It was about 6 months. Every weekend, it was like 3 days I would go, and it was Christian conversion therapy. My conversion therapist was an ex-gay with a wife and children. He was definitely gay though. So yeah, so I went to conversion therapy. Like they took my phone away, so I had to memorize everyone's numbers of all my friends and all the people in my life. So I still remember most of their phone numbers to this day.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, so I went to convert. That was not great. And by the end of it, my conversion therapist was trying to sleep with me. He was being sort of forwardly sexual with me. So I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna pretend that this worked. So that's what I did. I bit the bullet and was like, I'm gonna date girls. Like I'm just gonna do this. It's what they want. Maybe they're right. Maybe I can change. So I decided to start dating women again. I've never been with a woman intimately, so I'm gold star, but I hid behind the guise of like Christianity and Southern Baptist. I wore a purity ring that said like WWJD on it. So all the girls were like, he's such a good boy, a good Christian. And so all the parents loved when they dated me. probably because they knew I was gay and they knew that their daughter wasn't going to be having any sex. But yeah, so that's what I did. And then my senior year of high school, that was sophomore year when I went to conversion therapy, freshman, sophomore year. Senior year, I started dating a guy. His name was Dylan. He was lovely. I miss him. I don't know what happened to him. I can't find him anywhere,
Wow.
but it broke his heart. But my parents found out and they cut that off. They kicked me out. I lived with my grandma for a bit, who was like kind of early to mid stages of dementia and Alzheimer's. So I just told her there was a leak in my room at home and she didn't question it at all. So I had a really, really great friend named Avery who came and helped me move all this stuff out of my family's home. And I lived with my grandma for a bit, and it was horrible. I had to get rides to school. I had to pretend that everything was fine. I had to pretend I was straight still. That girl, Avery, was the only person that knew I was gay. So I just had to pretend like everything was fine. And I was in a lot of different clubs and organizations, and I had a very public facing role in a lot of my high school experience. So it was rough, but it made me who I am today. And then finally, after I got kicked out, I eventually wanted to move back in with my family. It was spring semester senior year. It was like prom, graduation, all of those things. So I decided to pretend to be straight again to them, and they let me move back in at home. And I started dating this girl. We went to prom together, and because I also was about to be college, so I wanted to be able to go to college. So I
Right.
just pretended to be straight again so that I could still get all those benefits. And then I went to college, and the rest is history. I pretended to be straight for like the first year of college, and then sophomore year, everyone at college knew I wasn't. And the people at college are the people who really helped me become the man I am today, and helped me come out and help me know who I am and the things I believe are okay. And getting out of that Christian nationalist, like Southern Baptist, like bubble really, really helped. And my parents will tell you that college made me a liberal, but I went to Texas A&M, which is very not liberal college, I don't think. So I owe it all to the people in college for helping me become who I am. But sophomore year, I eventually just told my family, hey, I'm gay, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And they were like, we'll write you out of the will, like we'll take away your inheritance, all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'd rather be happy. I'd rather be me. And that's where I am today, just being happy, being me. And
So, how are you with them today?
our relationship is definitely getting better. We don't talk all that often. I did call her for Mother's Day. We talked for a few hours, just about life and stuff. So that was nice. I think it's getting better, but it's still not great. I've never really had a great connection with my parents. We're very different people. And I have a younger brother who wasn't adopted, and my younger brother and them are very close. I think they just get each other in a way that people just can get each other. I think when they have similarities and biological stuff. I mean, I know that there's plenty of people that have wonderful, wonderful relationships that aren't biologically related. I consider all my friends family, so I do get that, but it just didn't happen for me and my parents. But hopefully, it'll get better.
Well,
They're getting older, so I would like for that relationship to build back up.
before we started recording, we talked for a few minutes, and you told me about a Boy Scout story. Do you want to talk about that? If you don't, I can cut it out of this, but
I haven't really ever talked about it before. I think I would be comfortable talking about it. There's actually a little more to it that I didn't get to talk to you about with you.
right. Okay.
So yeah, I think I would love to maybe talk about that.
Hey, Samuel, tell me a Boy Scout story.
Okay. So I was in Boy Scouts. I was almost an Eagle Scout. I was like really into it, all of that stuff. But there was this guy, and I'm going to say his full name, and it's because if you Google it, like you can read all about what he's done and the horrible things that he's done since then. He's in prison for life. I don't know if I should tell you guys now or if I should let you guys look it up. But this guy, Alan Ruby, and I were friends in Boy Scouts and at school. I was always a little timid about him. He was a little weird, but in Boy Scouts, him and I and this other kid who was like not the troop leader, but the kid version of that. I can't scout leader. I don't remember. He was 17, 18, and I was like 10, 11, 12 at this time. We started, I got kind of pulled into what they were doing. Ellen and this other guy were doing things sexually, and they brought me into it. And it was never like, the full thing, and I never ever once, finished this entire time, but it was definitely very sexual, and it was going on for a long time. And then someone found out, and they went and told Alan Ruby went and told on me and made me out to be the bad guy. So I got in trouble with Boy Scouts. I got kicked out of Boy Scouts. The state of Oklahoma got involved, and they sent me to anti-gay, like almost conversion therapy. So this is the first time I went to conversion therapy,
Right.
but it was state sanctioned, and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation got involved. I had to go to court. They were trying to try me as an adult, as a sexual predator. They were going to put me in men's prison as like a 12-year-old,
What?
which, like, for doing sexual crimes, which I didn't do anything wrong. I was just a kid that was got involved with other people doing stuff, and it was horrible. I ended up not getting in trouble for that. Nothing happened, but I did have to go to like state sanctioned conversion therapy. It's disgusting that a state could do this like to a child.
Right.
Fortunately, they didn't get to try me as an adult, but it was terrifying. I remember just being a little kid and thinking, "Whoa, like the world doesn't want me to exist." Like I thought this was like this everywhere in America. I didn't have any outside perspective. I thought even liking guys like could get you thrown in prison. And what would happen to a 12-year-old kid in prison?
My God.
A lot of horrible things. So, and not even like they weren't even going to send me to juvie. They were trying to send me to adult prison. That's all I got. The state of Oklahoma can, I don't know. They can, for lack of, they can just go away.
They can shove it where the sun don't shine. Wow.
Exactly, exactly. I was trying to think of a nice way to say it. That's the nicest way you can say it for sure.
Wow.
But this guy, Alan Ruby, ended up, he's like a master manipulator. He ended up murdering his mom, dad, and sister
Oh,
my freshman year of college. And that's when my parents always thought I was the problem. My parents thought that I was the one that instigated everything. And the second he did that, I think they realized, oh, Sam wasn't lying. Sam wasn't the problem. This kid who murdered his whole family was obviously the one behind all of this. And I think that's when our relationship sort of got better, is when they realized I wasn't, this crazy person that was doing all these horrible things, because I wasn't doing horrible things. But
so the Allen guy was the guy that was closest to your age, and then there was the other
yes, we were the
troop
same age.
guy.
Yeah. And Alan like totally threw me under the bus. Like I think he even like maybe gave in a statement to the court, like saying that I was the one that started all of this. And I wasn't. And he's in prison for life now, and I'm living my best life. So who's the winner, Alan?
So what happened to the older guy though? He got off scot free.
Yeah, I think he also had to leave Boy Scouts, but I think he's probably got a wife and kids now. I don't know. I haven't looked him up in a long time, but I assume that he's, he has a wife and children out in Oklahoma somewhere. So
How'd you get into acting?
acting. Well, I always kind of was a performer. I remember being like very little, like 3 or 4 years old, singing solos at church. I was always involved in the church choir at my First Baptist Church of Duncan, Oklahoma. I did like puppet shows. I did, the Christmas shows. I did every show that they did at a church. But I my mom did take me to an audition when I was in fourth grade. I think she just wanted me to have an outlet for all of the singing and dancing. And I auditioned for The Adventures of Tom Sawyer the Musical. I sang I Just Can't Wait to Be King from The Lion King, and I got the role of Sydney Sawyer at the town I lived in's community theater, Duncan Little Theater. It was a
Now
huge
how old were
production.
you?
What?
How old were you here? How old were you at that point?
I was in fourth grade.
So about nine-ish, probably.
I think so. Yeah, I was 18 and 22. I don't know. Yeah, it's fourth grade.
Somewhere around there, right?
Somewhere around there. And I did really well. They loved me. I loved doing it. It was amazing. All the costumes, the set, it was incredible. So that's how I started. And then I did other community theater productions throughout my childhood. I did some in seventh, eighth grade, ninth grade. I did Oklahoma Footloose, Back to the 80s, which was a really fun like jukebox musical about the 80s. And I eventually had to start lying to my mom and dad about where I was going, and I would go to these auditions saying I was going somewhere else, so that because they wouldn't let me go to auditions because they didn't want me to be gay.
But wait, you just said that your mother said it was okay and wanted you to do it at the beginning. Did
She
that
let me.
switch?
She took me to
That
the first one.
switched? That switched.
Yes, that switched. Yeah, I think she realized that there were a lot of gay people in the theater. I think she realized that there were a lot of like, liberal ideas and, acceptance of others and love. And I don't think she wanted my worldview to be broken that had been so carefully curated by the Southern Baptist Church.
Right. Wow. All right. So you're sneaking around doing auditions.
Yes, and I would get great roles. I would get leads, and then they would have to just let me be in the show because it's a small town. They didn't really have a lot of other people to do it. And, once your name is posted like as getting the role, it would be more embarrassing for my mom and dad to then like take it away from me
Pull
in a
you out.
public
Yeah.
way than just let me do it. So yeah, so I was devious growing up, but I kind of had to be to just, live my life. But it was a lot of lying, and I think to this day my parents still, I think they're better now, but I think they always just thought of me as like a liar. But I had to lie to survive. I had to lie to, not get hate crimes. I had to lie not to get, hurt or, to be able to live at home. Like I just had to lie. And I knew that I knew it was for good because I knew that I would be somewhere like I am today if I could just get through my 18 years in the South. And look, it worked. I'm here. I've lived in New York. I've lived here. I've had a wonderful life since, being able to be myself.
So you said you went from Oklahoma to New York?
I went from Oklahoma to college at Texas A&M. I graduated in 2018 and I then moved to New York. The only thing my parents really, really wanted was for me to have a college degree. And so I have a degree in finance and marketing from Texas A&M. It's a Bachelor of Science. And I knew that that was like their goal, like was to have me have a degree. And the second I got that degree, they came to my graduation and I told them, hey, I'm moving to New York next week. And they did not want that. They wanted me to go to grad school or, get a job. And I was like, I've lived my life for other people this entire time for 22 years. Like, it's time for me to like be me. So I moved to New York City with $300 and a suitcase and made my dreams come true.
So what was it like? So you went to New York. Had you ever been there before?
I had visited before, yes, like once or twice, or three times, but I never lived there. I got so lucky. I was in college and I was in the singing cadets at Texas A&M, and we got to go to New York to perform on Fox News, and then
Really?
we
Really?
were also performing. I was on Fox and Friends, and we also performed at the Bush's estate in Kennebunkport, Maine. So we would go to the Bush's estate and like do private singing for them. This was Barbara Bush and George Sr. and I think Jeb was there too. But Jonathan, oh my God, what's his name? He was the former Prime Minister of Great Britain. Anyway, he was there as well. But that was that trip, and so that time I went to New York. I got to go out to a club one night and I saw this incredible show called Diva. It was at Industry, and I met this guy who was hosting it named Marty Thomas, and we connected, and I thought he was cute. I think he thought I was cute. And then when I was planning on moving to New York, I guess he found out somehow and he called me and said, hey, my friends have an apartment in Hell's Kitchen. I know you're just moving to New York. Would you like to live here? And so I got this incredible apartment in Hell's Kitchen. It was on 45th and 10th. It looked over the Hudson. It had 11 windows. It was the first time I'd ever lived alone. I shared a bedroom with my brother my whole life. And so it was the first time I'd ever lived alone. I started working. I started doing background vocal work for like Broadway performers, and I started doing industry readings of different shows for Broadway producers, and it was great. I had a great time in New York, and I miss it a lot.
So you were there 5 years?
It was like four and a half. We had to leave. I had to leave because of COVID. I left, came here, and then I went back for a bit, and then now I've been here for 4 years.
How's your love life in the gay world?
Well, that's actually why I moved here to Palm Springs. I met a man in New York like a week after moving there. We hot and heavy, and we moved in kind of quick. It was great. I was with him for 7 years. We were engaged, and when COVID happened, he grew up here, and so we moved here, stayed with his family for a bit, and then we went back to New York, and then we came here. And we're like, it's going to be temporary. We're just going to try it out for a bit. And then I've been here since, but we did break up in December of this past year. So that's been kind of rough. I'm currently in the process of like packing up my things and moving, trying to figure out all of the logistics of that. But I'm moving back to New York City in 2 weeks. So I'll be there June 1st. So I don't know how many.
And
how many
you
weeks
have
that
a
is,
you
but
have a new place to go, or are you going to wing it?
no, I have a new place. Another friend. I got really lucky again this time. Every time I try to move to New York, like I just get the best luck. I think the world's like the universe is like, hey, go, you should be there. So I got a great place in the East Village, living with a friend. I think he owns the place. It's 3 bed, 2 bath, and I'm getting one of the rooms, and it's very cheap rent, less than what I paid the first time I moved to New York, half of what I'm paying here. So I'm very fortunate, and it just seems like everything is lining up for me to be there again. And I'm very excited about that because that's what I want to do professionally full time is theater and acting. So New York's the best place to be for that.
So you're mainly sticking to theater, you're not thinking TV or films or anything?
I've only done a TV and film like once or twice here and there, and like some random shoots and stuff. But I love the theater. I love being on stage. I love being in person with people. I think there's just something so raw and emotional about it. I also love just having people in front of me. Being on stage is where I feel the most me. It's where I feel like I'm doing what's right, like when I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, sharing stories, sharing truths, sharing emotion, and just helping people, learn and grow and have different viewpoints. It's just a beautiful thing.
Hmm. You gonna miss Palm Springs?
I am going to miss Palm Springs. I should be back and forth. My rent's so cheap that I will have the ability to travel a bit. But I hope to come back in the fall for the Inheritance Part 2 at the bench here at the Palm Springs Cultural Center. So I'll spend the summer in New York and then come back for a month or two and then go back to New York. That's the plan for now, at least. But I did get my equity offer. So I'm trying to decide when to pay my dues so that I don't know. I think I might wait till after the Inheritance Part 2 to do that so that I can still be a part of that. But I've always wanted to be equity, so I'm very excited to do that and see where that takes me as an actor, especially in New York City. It
I was
was
gonna say, so in New York, that would probably be helpful. I'm not sure how helpful that is here, though, because
yeah,
a lot of the theaters they can't afford or can't do the
it's not
equity people.
exactly. No, absolutely. There are some equity theaters here, but yeah, it would not be great for me to be equity here in the Valley. But in New York, I feel like last time I lived there, it was so hard to get seen at auditions if you weren't equity. So I'm excited for the stability and sort of like the more structure that being equity will provide me in New York and as an actor, as a performer.
So how's it been being in the Inheritance?
It's been out of this world. I couldn't be happier. The cast is amazing. The crew is amazing. The set's amazing. It's just so beautiful, and I'm so thankful to Terry Ray and to Steve Rosenbaum for giving me this huge role. They believed in me, when some other places in the theater might in the valley might not have, and I couldn't be happier that they could see my talent and knew that I would be good for this role because I do think that this role has been life defining for me. I think doing this role will propel me into all future endeavors as an actor just because of the sheer size of it, how raw it is that I have to play a few different characters. I'm very, very thankful and I'm so grateful and happy. If little me could see where I am right now, he would just be so, so, so happy. And he would know that all of that fighting, all of that lying, all of that, horrible stuff that I went through growing up was worth it. He would know that it was all meant for something better.
So Sam, you're naked in this production,
I am. I do get naked. I mean, we got to sell it, right? No, but
right? Of
I
course.
do get naked in this show. It's the first time I've ever been any sort of unclothed on stage. I don't even think I've had my shirt off on stage before, so being fully exposed is a lot. There is no penis, sorry guys, but there is a lot of ass.
Now wait a minute. You were the Scarlet Tattoo. You had your shirt off on that.
But that was the first time. The Scarlet
Yep.
Tattoo. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you remember. That's the first time I ever. Well, did I did I have it off or did I just unbutton it?
I don't remember. I remember you were partly
Maybe I
disrobed.
had it
I
off.
remember. Yeah, yeah.
There was definitely some chest exposed. So that was probably the first time, but that was only a few months ago. But yes,
So was it weird being naked up there or what? Let's talk about that.
it was. I actually didn't do the scene fully until Tech Week, and probably halfway through Tech Week, we opened on Friday. I think the first time I fully did that scene in the nude was Wednesday. I was kind of putting it off. I was just kind of nervous. I was, trying to eat nice that week so that I looked nice and thin and toned, but it doesn't
Right.
matter. Everybody is beautiful, but it was a little nerve wracking actually, for sure. And every night it still kind of is. Even recently, in the show, there was like a prop mishandling, and my underwear for that scene that I put on after I'm naked wasn't set on stage, and so I ended up having to do the whole 10-minute monologue in like my tiny little. I have like a mini towel that I wrap around myself, and that was terrifying because I stand up on a bench and I'm scared everyone can like see my skirt. I did have a sock around my penis, so I do have that.
Is that my phone going off or yours?
It's not mine.
Huh, that's really
It's
weird.
not mine.
And I'm looking at mine. It's not mine. I don't know what's going on here, but Anyway, I'll turn it off.
Is it the
Wow.
laptop? Oh well.
No, I don't think so. Anyway, we're fine.
But yeah, so but it's been freeing, it's been eye-opening, it's been vulnerable in a way that I think I need to be more of sometimes. So I'm happy with my performance and my nakedness.
Maybe you can sell the sock to a fan.
Honestly, though, there are some people in this valley that would buy that.
Yeah.
There's or my
Well,
jockstrap from Act 3.
well, it was really funny. I'll tell you a quick story. So my friend James, he's a straight guy, but I was doing the videos for him to start a Just for Fans. And he did a couple episodes on my podcast. First of all, when he quit his job banking, and then when we were doing this. So anyway, so originally they had a link to his Instagram, which he has since he started doing the Just for Fans. He cut the link off, but some guy knew it. So he's doing this stuff on Just for Fans, and this guy writes to him, and he goes, it was like Tony in Chicago. So Tony in Chicago writes to him and says, "This is kind of weird, but would you sell me your used underwear?" Hey, I said that's a thing. So anyway, so he sold it to him for $150.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. And then so
More.
where I visited like a month later, he was back here, and I said, "Did you ever hear back from that Tony guy?" And he goes, "Oh, didn't I show you?" And I go, "No." So he sends me a photo of the guy. So the guy had his underwear on his head, and he sent him a picture of it. Isn't that crazy?
I love that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, maybe I should sell my cock sock. Maybe
Yes. Is it your cock sock, or where did it come from?
I bought it. I bought it. I
Is
think
is
the
that
company
is
would
that
have
a,
been
is
fine with me not wearing one.
is that a thing? I mean, does it strap on or something, or what's the deal, or is it just a sock?
It's like a little pouch made out of like a nice soft material. Do I have it with me? No, but it's got a little drawstring.
So you like tighten it?
It's got a drawstring, and you pull it, and it tightens around like like a cock ring. It tightens
Okay.
around the outside and stays there.
Wow. Wait,
It
I think
did
you
fall
should.
off. It did fall off halfway through the act last week, but
Huh.
I had to tighten it more.
So did somebody pick that up for you and give it to you?
It fell out of my pant leg while I was walking off stage. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay. Well,
So I just reached down and grabbed it real quick and shoved it down my pants. And then I put on my jockstrap for Act 3.
wow. All right. So other than New York, what's on your horizons now?
Packing up all my things. If anyone wants furniture, let me know. I'm just kidding. Saying goodbye to all my friends. I would like to have a little going away party for all the people I've met and spent time with over these past 4 or 5 years. And other than that, I'm working on Fire Island this summer. I have um, I'm going on a trip to Greece with a friend from Australia in June that he paid for. So, but I'm just really really excited for the summer.
Is this a friend or a sugar daddy? Come on. I want
He's
the
a
truth. Come
friend.
on.
He's a friend. Oh, I knew you were gonna ask that. That's so funny. No, he's a friend.
Okay.
He has a boyfriend now, but he's a really lovely guy. He's an anesthesiologist in Australia.
Oh, wow. Do you need somebody to come along and like carry your bags and stuff for you? Because I'm available if you want.
It's so funny because I was supposed to go on this trip with my ex-fiance and he dropped out like last week. And so they needed another person because there was like a spot in my room on the yacht and he couldn't go. And I found if you had asked me this last week, yeah, you could have come.
Oh my God. Seriously. So you're going to
I
be
know.
on
I'm
a yacht?
sorry. I'm sorry. We're taking like a Greek Isles tour. It's only 60 feet. It's only a 60-foot yacht. I'm just kidding. I've never been on one before, but I'm not kidding. It is. We are on a yacht and it's 60 feet. But I'm joking. I don't know what the normal yacht size is, but it's got like 5 bedrooms. It should be fun. I don't know. I'm very down to earth, you guys, I promise. I just got really lucky. I'm broke vibes, don't worry.
You're a struggling artist.
But when you're nice to people and you're charismatic, they like to bring you places. So if I have one piece of advice for any of y'all, be lovely and kind and charismatic and you can go far in life.
Well, I'm like that, but I've never gotten a free trip. Come on.
And show your ass on stage. That's how
Ooh, honey, they would pay not to see it.
No, I'm sure it's a beautiful, beautiful act.
Well, never mind. We won't go there.
Ooh,
Anyway.
okay, good to know. Well, you know what? You wouldn't even Okay. This is fun.
Anyway, so we get to the point where I ask you, what have you learned in your life? What's like a couple main or a couple main lessons you've learned?
Well, the one that I just said is one, be kind. Another one I've learned is that this sounds so cliche or whatever, but you never know like what's going on with someone. So like why are you concerned about what they're doing? I mean, of course if it's like if it's unsafe or if they're hurting themselves and stuff, of course be concerned,
Right.
but I just don't know why people are so concerned about other people in public are doing. Like just mind your business. Mind your business. Okay, that's one piece of advice. Mind your business, be nice, be kind, love everyone. And something else I've learned is that sometimes like the darkness comes in. Sometimes you really just don't want to be here anymore. Sometimes there's so much sadness, so much pain that either you're going through or that's happening around you. And it does get better. It does get better. And also, if you ever feel like you don't want to be around anymore, change your environment, change everything about where you're at. I always told myself if I ever did want to, do something like that, I would just pick up and move somewhere. And if I still felt that way, then maybe I'd consider it. But I think so many people are just being complicit and not complicit. They're just being if you change your surroundings, change your environment, change the people you're around, if things are really, really that bad, because obviously there's more out there and there's better people, there's better
Right.
environments. And I just think people aren't willing to, they think that there's no option. Just go, just go. Even if you're broke, I moved to New York City with $300 in a suitcase. I got a job and I changed my life. You can do it and it is possible. And you're already at that low point. So what's the worst that could happen?
Right. Good advice. Yeah, you got a little wisdom on you there,
That's
kid.
just been something I've tried to live by that. I mean, I've had to go through a lot,
Right.
I've had a very, very, very rough go of it. So, and even stuff we haven't discussed. So you might not know that meeting me, seeing me. So it goes back to my thing, like, you never know what people are going through. You never know what's going on. So be kind, be loving, and, have fun. Be fun. I think people need to start having fun again and being funny again. People need to laugh more. I love laughing. I think people are so serious all the time about so many things. Quit being so serious, everybody. Quit. Quit it. It's nothing's that serious. We're on a giant rock in the sky, okay? In space, So have
Excellent.
fun.
I think that's a good word to end with. Hey, thanks for coming in. You're a fun guy.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. You're awesome. So
Okay.
anytime.
All right. Thanks again.
Of course.